Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us on the walking tour of Sunnyvale, which ended up right here at Buffy's house. We'd like to give a special thank you to Jean. Jean, thank you so much. And for a special treat for everybody, Jean's going to be telling us some stories of what actually happened here during the filming of Buffy. Interviewed by none other than Drusilla, Miss Juliet Landau. Jean, without further ado, I give you the mic.
Well, first of all, I think I'm going to interview you, not Drusilla, because that would be weird. But I want to thank you, Jean, so much for opening your home to all of us and making the booklet that you made. Oh, I don't know if that's supposed to say yet, so I'll tell you more about that. And you know, sitting down and talking and sharing all of the stories that everyone here is dying to hear. And I also wanted to know, can you talk a little bit about your involvement in the Torrance Historical Society, which celebrated its 50th anniversary last year, and what that means to you?
Well, I think it's a very important thing to have in
In here.
Oh, wait.
The Torrance Society is an important place. Everybody should try to get down and visit. I think there's something wrong with the ceiling at the moment, so it isn't open. But
What can we do about it?
usually it's open on Wednesdays and Saturdays, or no, Sundays. Sundays afternoons. Because I used to be a docent down there when it was there.
Can you guys hear, or do you want Jean a little bit?
Yeah, is there something we can do?
Put the mic a little bit closer.
Yeah.
And I think we'll do a little test. If you want to say hi and see if everybody can hear you.
Hi.
You guys
Closer.
hear? Okay, so that's better. Everyone's saying that's great. Okay, so how exactly did this house, out of all of the houses in Torrance, become Buffy's house?
One day, somebody came to the door and knocked on the door, and they said, do you mind if we could use as Buffy's house? And I said, I didn't even know who Buffy was. There was a book, before Buffy the Vampire Slayer, was well known. There was a book by Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but I had never read that as a children.
So basically, they knocked on the doors, probably location scouted, and said, "Hey,
Yeah, right, their location, whatever they call it.
Locations manager." And then did you right away say, "Oh yeah, I'd love to do that," or what was your? Did you have trepidation?
I said okay. I didn't say it.
And you probably didn't quite know everything that a film set entails right at the beginning.
Right. Yes.
So you've said before that you were almost always on site while the cast and crew were shooting the show here. Do you have any particular favorite stories or memories that come to mind when you think about those years and that time?
Well, one of the funnier things I thought was that when they filmed at night, they didn't film at night. They covered the house all up in a tent, and so it was dark inside. I mean, it seemed like a lot of trouble. Why don't they just film at night rather than cover the house in a tent? Right?
It was probably the schedule, and they figured they had other stuff to shoot at night exterior with us, like the vampires had to be outside at night, so they figured, okay, during the day we can shoot the interiors and make it look like night, and then still get everything that we need to shoot outside. So even though it seemed nuts, there probably was a logic behind it. And between the late nights and having to share your space with so many people, was there ever a time during the shoots when something took an unexpected turn? I heard that there was a stunt scene that resulted in maybe a little bit of damage.
Right. Yeah, one of the stunt people came through the bathroom window and rolled down the roof, and then they hit the edge of the railing, which they broke, and then they broke the bush right in front of it. They're still pushed down at the end there, still shorter than all the rest.
Still from that.
Yeah, right.
Gosh. Was it difficult in almost 7 years of the crew in your house? How did you continue to lead a normal life And did your friends or family ever visit on set?
Actually, my family never even had any interest, but my husband, my second husband, his two children came over and watched the filming. And a lot of people, the neighbors, lined up at the very beginning. They all sat on the sidewalk across the street from there, watching this whole thing. The neighbors were very interested.
So I have an idea, just so that I make sure that maybe put the mic down, and then when I answer, I'll just hold the mic for you, so I'll put it really close to you, because maybe then I think that will help. So there's a picture of a little boy. I noticed when we were inside your house, a little boy posing with Sarah Michelle inside. What is the story there? I'll hold the mic up for you.
Well, is my grandson, who's now 30 years old, I think. Maybe it's not that. But anyway, that is my grandson, and he lives here in Torrance still today.
Amazing. Did that help with the sound? Did you guys hear?
Awesome.
Okay. That's good. Let's do that. So you don't even have to bother. I'm going to take this for you so you can just relax. Is there someone I can just hand out? Thank you. And so almost every inch of this house has played a role across the 7 seasons of Buffy. I know that what happened initially is, so a lot of the stuff was shot here, and obviously the exterior stuff was shot here, but then at a certain point, it was also built on a sound stage where we worked in Santa Monica. So for me, in particular, I worked outside the house, but when I was inside, for instance, Buffy, when I follow Buffy and her nightmare in the hallway, that was actually on set in Santa Monica. So a lot of the interiors were shot elsewhere, but initially most of them were shot here in the staircase and the living room and stuff. So today we're gathered here in your backyard, which, hold on, this far. It always played an important role for the characters. For people listening to us today, what's a moment from Buffy filming history that you remember happening right here? I thought I heard something about a car. Is that a cat? A cat.
Yeah. They wanted to have a cat in the scene, so they had an actual cat, and they're trying to get the cat to sit there and go like this. The cat, cats aren't very easy trainable. So the cat couldn't do that. So they made this little mechanical cat, and they buried it in that round thing around over there where my plants are, my succulents. And the little thing came up out of the ground.
And did it look realistic?
Yeah, well, it was realistic as a little thing coming out.
But I'm moving closer so that I can reach easier. Hopefully you don't mind me getting a little friendly. So you wrote a very detailed booklet that we handed out, or are going to hand out to everybody today. And it's not just about how your house factored into the world of Buffy, but how the greater Torrance area played a role of, it became Sunnydale, California. What did your friends and neighbors think about, our production rolling into town, and didn't they sometimes use the neighbor's driveway for scenes? Wasn't the house on the other side taken over by a bug man in What's My Line? Wasn't a lot of the stuff you used here?
No, yeah, they put the ambulance in their driveway. Somehow there was an ambulance in one of the scenes. I don't know. Somebody died and they put him in an ambulance. I don't remember the whole plot myself. But there was a thing called in the back, on that next door in the lot, they put a thing called a condor, which is a very tall light. It's about as tall as the telephone poles. And next door neighbors, I guess it's just shine a light over here or something. And what was it? A more interesting thing about the cat.
So was the neighbor upset about the light shining, or were they okay with it?
Well, I don't know. I don't remember. I didn't discuss any of this with the neighbors. Okay.
Your booklet mentions when the town of Torrance became, like there was a period, which that follows up on, where the town of Torrance like became less than thrilled about the production of Buffy being there. What was it like here in the neighborhood on the explosive night that marked basically the end for Sunnydale High?
Well, what I think people didn't like, there was a big explosion, right? Those people over close to Sunnydale High, or what is Sunnydale High, the neighbors over there, the neighbors over here didn't. They were happy with the whole thing. They didn't care. But the people where this explosion was over by the high school were the ones that complained to the city council because they said it happened at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, which was kind of disturbing.
And so is there anything else that you can think of that I haven't asked you? And then maybe we'll open up to a couple questions and see if anybody has a particular question that they would like to ask that you would like to share with the group that I haven't asked you that you might want to say, oh, I think this would be interesting.
Well, I don't know. I can't think of anything that particular.
Okay. So does anybody have a question that you want to ask Jean about this experience? Yes, Carrie.
The episode where Tara shot, was the scene with Warren with the pistol also in his back garden?
So the question is, in the scene where Tara gets shot, this with Warren in the backyard, was that actually shot here in your backyard with Warren and a pistol? Do you know that? Whether that was shot out here?
I don't think so. I don't remember. I remember there was a scene where these girls were running in the backyard. I don't know what scene that was, but there was a group of people running across the backyard.
And what were there other scenes in the backyard that you can remember where we're sitting right now as well?
Well, the most was the one with the cat. Cat.
That one definitely made an impression.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And you were telling me earlier when we were hanging out that you had a cat that the crew would come and visit upstairs, right? A very rare kind of cat, isn't that true?
Yeah, he was a beautiful Maine Coon cat, and he would sit up in the window and watch this filming. He would watch what was happening in the backyard. And he always watched them while they were filming. And they would go in, when the actors were upstairs, they would go into I kept him in the TV room where the television is, and they would go in to visit him. And he was very young at that time. He lived to be 17 years old, but he was maybe only a year or two old.
So was he here for the entire filming, or he came along?
He was there, yeah, in the house, and as I say, he liked to look out the window and watch me filming in the backyard.
And so, when everything was filming, how many, like let's say over the course of a week, would it be every day, or was it they'd come for a few days and then leave the crew, or what? How would that work?
They would probably film maybe in the morning or film in the afternoon. They never filmed all day.
Yeah.
And they would have their truck out there where you could go down there. I used to go down there and have some eat food too. They had a catering truck.
Yes.
So you could get, pretty nice food down there on the catering truck.
Yeah. So, and then it probably we're shooting all in the area, like shooting at the high school, shooting in the exteriors, and then coming to the house and doing all of that. That was to make their days with everything. So that was a great question, Carrie. Does anybody else have a question for you? Yes, please.
Not even really a question, just a really, really big thank you for letting us come do this.
Yes, please.
How long have you lived here?
What? Another question?
How long have you lived here?
Oh, since about 83.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then I see you have a question.
What's the cat's name?
Yes.
What is
Your cat's name.
Oh, that cat was Kelly.
Aww. All right, do I see any other hands in terms of questions about the house? Yes, yes. Oh, gosh.
What attracted you when you bought this house? What attracted you to the address 1313?
I don't think I even looked at the address when we came here. I was looking for an older house. I thought I wanted an older house, and I was walking down the street, and somebody said, well, just last yesterday, I think the woman down the street put her house on the market. So I came to the door here, and this little girl who was about 12 years old opened the door, and they said, yes, yeah, her mother put the house on the market last night. And so my husband and I came that night, and the woman who, and her husband, were getting a divorce, and they were kind of in a hurry, but she was a real estate agent, so we made the deal right that night.
Wow, amazing. So it was meant to happen, right?
So we got a real good price because they were in a big hurry.
Quickie divorce and wanted out. Okay, but that's a great question. And let's see, does anybody else have a question? Let's see, arms up. I think that was filming.
I guess I got a,
Oh, great, Kevin.
got a
Yes,
quick
please.
question. So we're all Buffy fans here. I'm sure you have a lot of people drive by, walk up, other
Yeah.
fans. How do you handle that, or how is the response on your behalf or their behalf?
They never knock on the door. I can just tell they're standing out in front of my house taking pictures. They wouldn't take pictures of just my house more than anybody else's. So I know they're Buffy fans.
And how is that? Does it get a little old, or are you okay with it?
I don't care. I mean, I'm not always looking out the window. I don't know who it is.
Right, that's true. Oh, yes, please.
Hi. Do you have any fun stories about any of the actors that were in this house?
You were telling me a little bit earlier, like, that she was asking about any fun stories about the actors that were working here, and I know you mentioned you remembered Nick, and you remembered a couple of the other actors. Is there any? Xander, but his name is Nick, though, because the actor is Nick, the character is Xander. But yeah, so do you remember that?
Well, I mean, the most famous scene that I remember, he came tearing across the front lawn, and then I had log there, not those plants, and all this big bunch of women was chasing.
But I was under a spell, so there was a reason for it. But yes, I was there then. I was running after. And I have a funny story about that because Nick and I had been on set together, but we never worked together. And because the scene, I'm supposed to be so smitten with him, and I was like, well, with Drusilla's nature, I'm going to be all over you. And he was like, yes, I know. I've seen your work. So does anybody else have a question? That was a good one. Oh yes, Donovan.
I was just wondering, were any scenes of the body shot in the home?
So there's an episode called The Body where the mother, Joyce, Buffy's mother, passes away, and it's a very profound episode, the way that it's shot. And she's found in what looks exactly like your front room. Do you know if that was actually shot here or shot on set, or are you not sure?
I think it was shot somewhere else.
That was actually probably shot on the Stewart Street stages in Santa Monica, where stuff was built.
It looked just like it when
Yeah.
it
Yes.
walked in, yeah.
Yes, and one of the things for some of the people that were on the walking tour yesterday with Chris and David, and I heard this, but for anybody who wasn't, one of the reasons that you often build sets, like the first year, you'll be in a location, but one of the reasons that you then build it on a sound stage or somewhere else is so that when you are shooting, you can make the space a little bit bigger, and you can fly walls out and things. So basically, they literally, practically, if you're in a set, it's really hard to get certain angles. But if you can take a wall out and put the camera there, and get the camera higher where the ceiling would actually be, but you can shoot down, and you can do all these things that make it visually interesting that you can't do always in a real space, which makes these, I'm going to actually move these so they're not rustling. Thank you. So that's one of the reasons. It also saves a lot of time because you can move around it much more economically. Yes.
So I know we're here at Buffy's house, but did you ever go to the high school while they were filming?
Jean, did you ever visit the high school that is Torrance, in Torrance, right nearby when they were filming there?
No, I didn't visit it while I was filming. I visited there, but not while we were filming.
not while filming, but visited otherwise. Yes.
Dean, where did you grow up?
Where did you grow up?
Oh, I was born in San Bernardino, and I grew up in Ventura. And then I went away to college, and then I never actually returned to Ventura.
So all California though.
Huh?
All California though.
Oh, yeah, no, I've
Yeah,
always...
yeah.
Well, actually, for a while, when I was married to an Air Force officer, we lived in New Mexico, Clovis, New Mexico for 4 years. And I lived in Las Vegas for a couple of years.
We have a few people from Vegas here.
And I even, for a while, was in Montgomery, Alabama.
Oh my gosh.
You know, different places where the Air Force went to train in different places.
Amazing.
Is that why you got a divorce?
I get a divorce. I'm a widow twice.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes.
What, me?
Yes, you.
Oh, so I spoke to you a little bit in there, and you said that you had heard the house was haunted. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
So you heard, he was speaking to you a little bit inside, and you said that the house was haunted, so he wanted you to share a little.
I didn't think it was haunted, but when we moved here, some of the high school students said it was haunted.
Well, it is the Hellmouth. Right? Okay. And you had your arms, hand up. Okay, you were looking for him. Okay. Is there anyone else that has? Yeah, right here.
Have you ever watched the series in its entirety, and do you have a favorite episode?
Have you ever? I bet I can guess the answer to this question. Have you ever watched the show in its entirety, and if so, do you have a favorite episode?
No.
I knew that was going to be the answer. I had a beat on that. All right, Kevin?
Yeah, just a quick question. How is Halloween around here? Do you decorate the house for Halloween, or do you have like trick-or-treaters visit the house?
Oh, yeah, you don't ever let trick-or-treaters in your house.
But do you decorate? Do you decorate?
Yeah, I decorate. I have a bunch of little bats I could hang out there, you know, and ghosts and different things. I like to decorate, right?
Aw, and I bet you get some extra people coming because it's the Buffy house.
All those
right?
vampires.
Yeah, once in a while people say this is Buffy house.
Right. Once in a while people say, was it the Buffy house on Halloween? Great question. And you had a question as well.
Yeah, my question kind of links into that. So, when was the moment that you realised the show was as impactful and lasting as it was? And when did you realise that your house is like as iconic as it is?
So he was saying, was there a certain point, and if so, when was it, that you realized that the house, that the series itself became kind of an iconic thing, and so the house became an iconic thing in your house? It meant a lot to a lot of people. Was there a particular point that you started to realize that?
I don't know, but it's when people started coming to the door and knocking on the door and saying, you would mind if I take a picture? But most of those people were from Europe or the Midwest. They weren't from around here. Everybody around here knows all about Buffy. They would come right over here and take pictures.
Chris?
Not a question, but if there are none, I'm there to catch that mic when you are.
Okay. Well, let's just see if there's any. Oh, yeah, here's one.
Yeah, I have a question. So the front area of the house, like in the show, obviously it looks a lot different. Was it like this, and then they cleaned it up for the show, or was it?
I think it's
like
grown,
that.
but
It's just grown.
I think
Okay.
it's grown a lot since then. So the front of the house looks different than the show. It looks much more overgrown and much lusher than it did on the show. Did they clean it up when they were shooting and make it look different, or is that just from time that it's grown into what it is now?
It was all lawn before. And then I decided I wanted to have those native plants. Most of those plants out there are native plants. So I planted all those plants. When they were here, it was just grass.
Yeah.
A few big fir trees and grass.
It seems like you with everything in your garden and everything, that you're very interested in gardening, and it's beautiful.
Gardening, and I've added lots of stuff, you know, like the honeysuckle, the giant Burmese honeysuckle, and that's a
Matilla poppy.
Matilla poppy, right?
Yeah. Beautiful. And so do you spend a lot of time yourself out here gardening?
Well, I mean, it pretty much is pretty filled up now, but the backyard is sitting, you know.
Yeah, lovely. Lovely. Okay, another question?
Was it hard to keep yourself from gardening while the show was filming?
Was it hard to keep yourself from gardening while the show was filming because it had to match and look the same, like you weren't out, couldn't put in big different plants?
What was the question? I don't understand.
So the question is, so while it was filming, since it had to look the same, was it hard to not change it and plant during the film?
I think mostly they were just filming that circle around over there and just over in front of the honeysuckle. They weren't just like shooting around, you know.
Right, so you were able to just do what
Yeah,
you wanted to do with your
right,
garden.
right.
Okay. Yes.
I don't know if somebody asked this before, but did you stay here most of the time when they
Yeah, I
were
was
filming?
always
Or
Always.
did you go,
Yeah.
she was here the whole time?
Yeah.
We stayed in the house.
Okay.
So yeah, and during all the time, so for all the filming, just absolutely, yeah. Was it nerve wracking when you'd see all the, because if you've ever worked in a house with film equipment and a crew, it's kind of crazy in terms of the amount of equipment and the stuff that gets loaded in and all the cables and all. Was it a little bit nerve wracking when that stuff was coming in on your wood floors and stuff?
Well, they put cardboard down.
Yes.
They tried to, or they put on the steps, I think they put canvas or something. So the cables were not dragging on the wood. Right. They were very careful.
Yeah, no, absolutely careful, but there's still a lot of people coming in now, right? Yeah, absolutely. So I saw someone else's hand. Yeah.
Has anyone else approached you about filming anything here, or would you be receptive if someone wanted to film here?
So she says she doesn't think so. Would you be receptive to doing it again, or is that you've done enough of that?
I think that was enough.
I think so. All right. Well, Deb, you have a question.
Were you ever in an episode? Did they ever film you?
Oh, did you get to appear in an episode? Were you ever filmed?
Oh.
No. Would you have done it had they asked you?
I don't know. I can't think of it. It was a long time ago. I was younger.
Well, we're filming you now. So you're getting to do it from an offshoot of that anyway, right? Yeah. Okay, yeah. See another question?
So we're all obviously big fans of Buffy. Is there anything you're a big fan of in media, like past, present, anything?
So obviously everybody here is an avid Buffy fan. So as far as you go in your own life, are there things that you have been an avid fan of or are currently a big fan of?
Oh, you're talking about television?
Either television, books, anything.
I like mystery stories, but Sarah Peresky.
Sarah Peresky, is she a mystery writer?
Yeah, she's a mystery writer. She writes about Chicago. She actually lives in Chicago. Sarah Peresky.
And what do you like about the mystery stories? Why do they tweak your interest?
Well, I mean, they make sense. You know, they're like, you're just like living in that kind of period. You know, it's believable.
So, all right. Anyone else who has a question? Yep.
One last question. How late would they film here? For example, the Buffy and Spike scene that took place here. How late would they stay?
Someone just referenced that thing. How late into the night would they shoot here? Would we shoot here when our production was here? How late would it go? What was the latest it would go, or do you remember that sort of hours?
I can't remember, but as they say, at night they covered it up, and so they didn't shoot at night a whole lot.
We shot some stuff outside and around in the neighborhood, but I think at the actual interiors of the house, it sounds like they mostly covered the windows and did, made it look like it was night for when they were shooting in the daytime. So
I don't think they shot much at night.
As I was saying on the walking tour yesterday, the whole cast and crew, the nickname for the show was Buffy the Weekend Slayer, because we basically started working on Mondays. We'd have a 6 a.m. or a 5 a.m. call, and then by Fridays our call would be, say, 6 p.m., and then we work all into 6 a.m. on to Saturday, so that we just called it Buffy the Weekend Slayer. All right, does anyone have a last question? Yep, we got one taker here.
What made you agree to open your house today to all of us? That I'm really grateful for.
So, yeah, and I want to say we are all, I was just going to say this afterwards, but I want to say we are all so grateful for you opening your house today, and we know that it's really special that you don't do this. So what is it that made you say yes today to us getting to come here, because we're all so thankful to be sitting here and to hearing your stories and so appreciative.
It was that I am a member of the Torrance Historical Society, and this is a benefit for the Torrance Historical Society. And I also think it's a benefit for the Chamber of Commerce, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your stories, your time, your house, and everything with us, and especially the mechanical cat.